Hi, this is Chris Dao-anis, and I'm going to present to you a business case on information security for the company Messenger of Hope Book Publishing. We know that in today's digital landscape, safeguarding sensitive information and ensuring integrity of customer data are paramount for organizational success. So this business case investigates the existing information management and security practices of this chosen company, Messenger of Hope Book Publishing. And also this review provides recommendations on how it can be made better and more effective. So in this video, we are going to look into the company background as an introduction. Then we'll look into the objectives and the current state of the information management and security practices of the company. And based on that, we'll be going to look into the proposed security measures and controls. And along with that, our risk mitigation practices and the implementation plan that will be taken to apply the proposed security measures. So we start with the introduction, and the company called Messenger of Hope Book Publishing is all about bringing empowering books to the reader's doorsteps. So this is a publishing company in Baguio City that offers books by local authors. And these books provide insights, instruction, and inspiration to their chosen readers. Some of the books are flashed on the slide. And the company navigates in the digital age. And so it has established its presence on various online platforms. That includes its company website at messengerofhopebooks.com. They also have a Shopee store at shopee.ph/Messenger of Hope PH. Along with that is an Amazon account that extends the reach to the international readers, and also their way of interaction to the customers is on Facebook with their business page. Now, in line with their commitment to maintaining the trust of its valued customers, information management and security is, of course, prioritized. So considering these channels of operation that was mentioned, there are security measures in place. Along with that is having a general level of security across those channels. And there is this limited access to customer data. There is adherence to secure payment gateways and ensuring that they're logging off from accounts, especially when these are accessed outside company gadgets and internet connection. Now, they also, of course, noted that there are areas for attention, like there is a need to look into regular assessments, employee training, and potential enhancements to access controls to enhance the security defenses. Now, of course, the company recognizes the importance of all these things. And that is why, if we look into the business objectives, yes, it also recognizes that there is a need for data confidentiality. And this is all about ensuring sensitive information is accessible only to authorized individuals to prevent unauthorized access or disclosure. Compliance and legal requirements. The company believes in adhering to data protection regulations and industry-specific standards to avoid penalties and legal consequences. Risk management is also one objective, in a way that it seeks to identify and mitigate security risks to protect against data breaches and cyber attacks. On the area of customer trust and reputation, we look into safeguarding customer data to enhance trust and maintain a positive brand reputation. And finally, on business continuity and disaster recovery, yes, swiftly recovering data after disruptions to minimize downtime and ensure operational resilience is being looked into. So from these objectives are the desired outcomes, which are as follows: restricted access. Sensitive information remains accessible solely to authorized personnel, preventing any unauthorized disclosure or access. Second, regulatory alignment. Adherence to data protection regulations and industry standards ensures alignment with legal requirements, avoiding penalties and legal repercussions. Third, threat mitigation. There is the identification and mitigation of security risks, shield the organization from potential data breaches and cyber attacks, thus reducing vulnerability. Fourth, trusted relationship. Safeguarding customer data cultivates trust, nurturing a positive brand reputation, and maintaining a loyal customer base. And lastly is rapid recovery. Swift data recovery in the face of disruptions minimizes downtime and thus fostering operational resiliency and continuity. So based on these objectives and desired outcomes, we look into the current state so that we can assess how it is doing now. And this was briefly touched on earlier. The company has various online platforms. It has a website, a Facebook page, a Shopee seller account, Amazon account, and it also uses Google Form for alternative ways to gather orders. Now, that is positive in a way because it uses various online platforms, and also based on the assessment, there is the implementation of complex passwords for accounts, and so demonstrating a basic level of protection against unauthorized access. Now, there are areas that need some attention. One is that there is limited number of administrators. The presence of a single admin for the website, one for the Facebook page, and two for the Shopee seller account could potentially lead to accountability and oversight challenges. So implementing clear role definitions, access controls, and regular oversight can help mitigate these risks. Number two, customer data handling. While access to customer data is limited to one person, and this is stored in Google Sheets, it's important to ensure adequate protection for this data. So implementing encryption and access controls for the Google Sheets document will prevent unauthorized access or breaches. Number three, infrequent password changes. It was noted that passwords are not changed as frequent as possible. Now, while maintaining complex password is commendable at present, the infrequent changing or updating of passwords could pose security risks. So regular password changes, irrespective of host requirements, contribute to a more secure environment. And the fourth is that banking details are also shown in the Google order forms. So storing banking details in Google order forms for payment options like GCash and electronic fund transfer may expose sensitive financial data of the company. Now, ensuring appropriate security measures for this information, such as encryption and restricted access, is crucial to prevent unauthorized exposure. In other words, while the company's online presence indicates growth potential, specific aspects of information management and security practices needs improvement. So, to better assess or to have a better background, we looked into the strengths, the weaknesses, and existing gaps or vulnerabilities in the current system. So, strengths. This was mentioned that the diverse online platforms. Why is this a strength? Because this indicates an active engagement with customers and a broad digital presence, which is very important in today's digital landscape. Second is the use of complex password. So using complex passwords for accounts demonstrates a level of awareness regarding security. So this is a strength because this measure enhances protection against unauthorized access to these platforms. On the other hand, there are weaknesses noted. That is limited administrator oversight. Now, the presence of a single admin for the website, one for the Facebook page, two for the Shopee seller account, could lead to oversight challenges. If these admins aren't synchronized in their actions, there's potential for mismanagement or inconsistencies. On customer data handling, relying on a single individual to access and store customer data in Google Sheets might expose the company to risks. If this data is not well protected, it could be vulnerable to unauthorized access or data breaches. Third is the infrequent password updates. This was mentioned earlier, that not regularly changing or updating these passwords increases the vulnerability of accounts to potential breaches. And lastly is financial data storage is also a weakness because storing banking details in Google order forms may expose sensitive financial information. So without proper safeguards, this information could be accessible to unauthorized parties. So noting these strengths and weaknesses, we will look into existing gaps and vulnerabilities. One is access control and oversight. So there is the limited number of administrators, and without proper control mechanisms, unauthorized actions or mishandling of data could occur. Second, data security. Reliance on Google Sheets for customer data without encryption or strict access controls leaves the information susceptible to breaches or unauthorized viewing. Third is password security. Infrequent password changes undermine the security benefits of using complex passwords. So it seemed to it's not enough to have complex passwords. It has to be supported by frequent updating or changing of such password. And lastly, bank details exposure is also a vulnerability. Now, what are the potential risks? One is unauthorized access. Inadequate information management security practices could lead to unauthorized access to platforms that were mentioned earlier, and malicious actors could exploit this vulnerability to manipulate content, steal customer data, or compromise transactions. On data breaches, insufficient security measures might expose customer data stored in Google Sheets. So personal information could be stolen, leading to identity theft, financial fraud, and legal consequences. On account compromise, if complex passwords are not regularly updated, accounts become susceptible to unauthorized access. Hackers could potentially gain control over these accounts, leading to reputational damage and loss of customer trust. And lastly is payment data exposure. Storing banking details in Google Forms without robust security could result in the exposure of company financial information. And this could lead to financial losses and damage to the company's reputation. So what are the potential impacts? One is reputational damage. So this could result to a loss of customer trust, and this could decrease sales and brand loyalty. Financial losses. This could lead to legal liabilities if data of customers are exposed. Maybe you need to compensate the customers. There could be potential fines due to non-compliance with data protection regulations. So along with these are legal consequences that would also go back to reputational damage. There will be disruption of operations because of possible data or system that will be impacted, and downtimes or disruptions like this could result to missed opportunities and customer dissatisfaction. Customer churn. So loss of customer data or compromised financial information may cause customers to switch to competitors or to look for other providers or competitors. Now, because of this, there will be reduced growth and will lead to regulatory non-compliance, which is somewhat similar to legal consequences. So knowing all this, we look into proposed security measures. One is authentication. So enforce strong authentication mechanisms, including two-factor authentication for all admin accounts, and also implement single sign-on for centralized and secure user authentication across platforms. So along with this, as a regular review and audit of user accounts to remove inactive or unauthorized accounts. So that's for authentication. Second is authorization. So we need to deploy role-based access controls, or RBAC, to assign specific permissions to users based on their roles. So we need to implement strict least privilege principles, ensuring users only have access to the resources necessary for their tasks. And third is encryption. So we can use TLS, or transport layer security encryption, for data transmission between online platforms, ensuring data remains secure during transit. Now, we can also employ end-to-end encryption for customer data stored in Google Sheets, rendering it unreadable to unauthorized parties, even if they are accessed. Fourth is IDPS, or intrusion detection and prevention systems. So we deploy network-based IDPS to monitor incoming and outgoing network traffic for suspicious patterns or anomalies. Utilize host-based IDPS on critical systems to detect unauthorized activities or breaches at the system level. Set up real-time alerts to notify administrators of potential security incidents. Number 5 is incident response plans. We develop a detailed incident response plan outlining steps to be taken in case of security incidents or data breaches. Of course, we will assign specific roles and responsibilities to team members to ensure a coordinated and swift response. Define communication protocols for notifying affected parties, such as customers and regulatory authorities. Number 6 is data encryption and tokenization. So we encrypt sensitive customer data at risk using strong encryption algorithms and keys. Implement tokenization to replace actual customer data with tokens, minimizing exposure during transactions. We can have vendor risk management as well. So we evaluate third-party vendors' security practices before integrating them in our systems. We can implement contractual agreements that outline security requirements, data protection, and incident reporting procedures for vendors. Number 8 is employee training and awareness. And this is very important. So we conduct regular information security training sessions for employees to educate them about potential risks and best practices. Promote a culture of security awareness where employees are encouraged to report suspicious activities promptly. Number 9 is data backup and recovery. Set up regular automated backups of critical data to ensure quick recovery in case of data loss. Store backups in geographically separate and secure locations to prevent loss due to physical disasters. And number 10 is compliance adherence. And this can be done by staying updated with relevant data protection regulations and industry standards. Implement data auditing and logging mechanisms to maintain a record of data access and modifications. So these are the proposed measures to be able to have a better and more effective security management practices. Now, training programs was mentioned earlier, and this has to be emphasized because to create a security conscious culture within the organization, implementing employee awareness and training programs is essential. So these programs are designed to educate and empower employees about information security risks, best practices, and their role in safeguarding the company's digital assets. So we can have security awareness training. So we can conduct regular training sessions to educate employees about various cybersecurity threats such as phishing, social engineering, and malware attacks. In these trainings, we can provide real-life examples in case studies to illustrate the potential consequences of security breaches. Now, we can cover topics like password hygiene, safe browsing practices, and recognizing suspicious emails. We can also have the second one, which is role-based training. So we can tailor training content to different roles and responsibilities within the organization. Third is simulated phishing exercises. We can run simulated phishing exercises to assess employees' ability to identify and respond to phishing attempts. And this can be done in a periodic basis, on a regular but random basis in a way. So it's not it's expected but not sure when it comes, sort of like that. And number 4 is incident reporting protocols. We need to educate employees in how to recognize and report security incidents in a prompt manner. So along with this is establishing clear communication channels for reporting incidents to the designated incident response team. Number 5, secure online practices. So we teach employees about the importance of strong and unique passwords, along with the regular updating of passwords. Number 6 is mobile device security. Provide guidelines for securing mobile devices used for work purposes, including enabling screen locks and keeping devices updated. Okay? Number 7 is social media awareness. Educate employees about the potential risks of sharing sensitive information on social media platforms. Encourage them to maintain privacy settings and limit personal information disclosure. Many people are making mistakes on social media, and we don't want the employees to be doing the same. Number 8 is data handling and protection. Train employees on proper data handling procedures, including classification, storage, and sharing. In here, we highlight the significance of protecting customer data and confidential information. And lastly, number 9, or second to the last, rather, is reporting anomalies. Teach employees to recognize unusual activities on systems or networks and to report anomalies promptly. Emphasize the importance of quick response to potential security threats. And number 10 is regular updates. So continuously update training content to reflect emerging threats and new security practices. So this way, we ensure that employees stay informed about the evolving landscape of cyber security. Again, if cyber crimes are becoming more and more complex and more diverse and more numerous, then the employees, especially those involved in incident response and disaster recovery, should be well equipped, steps ahead than those cyber criminals. So this proactive approach not only will reduce the risk of security incident, but will also empower the employees to contribute to the organization's overall security posture. Now, we look into the sixth area, which is risk assessment and mitigation. So we look into the threats, vulnerabilities, and associated risks. And we start with the first one, which is on phishing attacks. So what is the threat here? The threat here is that malicious actors send deceptive emails aiming to trick employees into revealing sensitive information or clicking on malicious links. So the vulnerability here is the lack of awareness and training among employees with regard to phishing techniques. So the associated risk is the unauthorized access to accounts, and we don't want that to happen. Second is malware infections. The threat is that the malicious software is introduced into the organization system through infected files or links that were clicked, or files that were stored in, let's say, storage devices. Vulnerability here, insufficient endpoint security and lack of regular software update. So this could lead to disruption of operations, potential compromise of customer data. How about unauthorized access? The threat here is that individuals with malicious intent will be able to gain unauthorized access to sensitive information or sensitive systems or accounts. So this is caused by the vulnerability of inadequate access controls along with weak authentication mechanisms. So also, this can compromise customer information and can lead to reputational damage. On the area of the weakness that was mentioned earlier, which is a vulnerability, the limited admin oversight is because a small number of administrators with access to critical platforms can lead to the manipulation of those of that just one admin. And the risk is the lack of oversight increases the risk of unauthorized actions or potential mismanagement of platforms. On the customer data storage on Google Sheets, there is no encryption. And so there is this risk of data breach and unauthorized access. So there is this potential exposure of sensitive customer information. The infrequent password updates, okay, that is a vulnerability in itself, even if the password is complex. And this is leading to the risk of increased vulnerability to unauthorized access. So that means the account could be compromised and could lead to potential breaches. For the associated risks in general, we look into reputational damage and for others. And the risk here is that if the customer data is compromised, the company's reputation may suffer. So this can lead to potential loss of business and negative brand perception. On the financial loss, there is this risk on legal liabilities, customer compensation that was mentioned earlier, And of course, this will lead to a direct impact on the resources of the organization. Operational disruption can happen. There can be legal consequences, as mentioned, and customer churn because of the loss of customer trust. And thus, the loss of market share as well, and a negative impact on growth. So knowing all this, we need to prioritize these risks based on their potential impact and likelihood of occurrence. So for the phishing attacks, the impact could be high with a moderate likelihood, and unauthorized access high, also with a moderate likelihood. The reason for this is that the potential impact of a successful phishing attack is substantial, leading to data breaches and unauthorized access. But while employee training can reduce the likelihood, the high potential impact warrants focused mitigation. So this is high priority. On the unauthorized access to critical systems, this poses a significant threat as well. So strengthening authentication mechanisms and access control is imperative. So these are the two high priority risks that must be addressed first. Now we look into the medium priority. We have malware infections and financial losses with impacts that are moderate and likelihood of moderate and low, respectively. Why is the malware infection of this priority? While malware infections could disrupt operations and compromise data integrity, regular updates and security measures can help mitigate this risk. That's why the likelihood is moderate. So vigilance and proactive measures are required. On the financial losses, the implementation of robust security controls and incident response can help mitigate the likelihood. And that's why it is low. Now, the last is those low priority risks. So we have customer data storage on Google Sheets, operational disruption, and reputational damage. As to why the customer data storage in Google Sheets are of low impact and low likelihood, its impact can be minimized through encryption and access controls. So if we do the encryption, then this will be mitigated. As for the operational disruption, we can have regular backups and disaster recovery plans. So this will minimize the likelihood and impact. And lastly, on reputational damage, the comprehensive security measures and incident response plans can mitigate these risks, and thus reducing both the likelihood and the impact. So we are to do a quick rundown on the risk mitigation strategies to address the risks that were mentioned. As to phishing attacks, we conduct regular phishing awareness training. For unauthorized access, we implement multi-factor authentication. For malware infections, we do regular software patching and endpoint security. And for financial losses, secure payment processing and regular audits will be the strategy. For customer data storage on Google Sheets, encryption and access controls will be implemented. Operational disruption, there will be data backup and disaster recovery planning. On reputational damage, we have incident response planning, as mentioned earlier. And on employee training awareness, we need to conduct continuous security training, which is very important. Last two is data encryption and tokenization. That would be our strategies, data protection measures, meaning our action there is to implement robust encryption protocols for sensitive data at rest and during transmission. We will utilize tokenization to replace actual customer data in transactions. And lastly, on customer adherence, is our strategy is regular compliance audits. So we will conduct regular audits to ensure adherence to data protection regulations and industry standards. Address any identified gaps promptly. So knowing all this, having said all this, is a very important plan, which is the implementation plan, which is in the accompanying document with that is provided through the e-copy of this business case, where we detail the objectives of the, let's say, phishing awareness training, and that is to enhance employee awareness for phishing threats. We identify the different actions. For example, we'll develop a comprehensive training curriculum on recognizing phishing attempts. We conduct initial training sessions for all employees and new hires. We will schedule periodic refresher sessions to reinforce awareness, and we will incorporate simulated phishing exercises to test employees' ability to identify threats. So objectives and actions of all the strategies mentioned are contained in the document, as well as we identified also the different phases, timelines, milestones, resource requirements, and the responsibilities of those personnel that are required. So for example, phase 1 is preparation and planning. So that could be month number 1. And the milestones that we expect are to finalize project scope and objectives. We identify key stakeholders and establish a project team and define the roles and responsibilities of team members. So the resource requirements and their responsibilities would be project manager, who will oversee the planning phase and coordinate team efforts. Information security expert will be needed to provide expertise and identifying risks and proposing mitigation strategies. We'll be needing a training specialist to assist in designing training materials in awareness programs. And lastly, of course, we will be needing the IT team to collaborate in technical aspects such as the MFA, implementation, and software patching. So similar details are provided in the different phases. So we have phases 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up to 6. So just to do a quick rundown, phase 2 will be training and awareness enhancement. Phase 3 is technical measures implementation. Phase 4 is incident response planning and testing. Phase 5 is continuous improvement and monitoring. And phase 6 is review and adjustment. And this is expected to be done in the end of year 1. And of course, review and adjustment is an ongoing process, along with the phase 5, which is continuous improvement and monitoring. So I enjoin you to look into the details in the accompanying document, because in the document is we provided the details, and also at the end is that we identify the potential impacts on existing processes, systems, and personnel. And we know that it's often the case that whenever we do changes in systems and security management practices, there would be things that will be affected in the existing processes, in the systems and technology, in the personnel workforce. There will be resistance to change, right? And that's why we need to employ change management strategies as well. And in the transition period, there will be things that are going to happen. Training and skill development will be made sure to be provided to employees. Technical challenges must be addressed. And all this is part of the implementation and the change management plan to make sure that the implementation of the proposed security measures will be made well. So overall, effective communication, training, and support will play a pivotal role in facilitating a smooth transition and fostering a security-conscious culture within the organization. So with all this, we believe that the current state of the security management practices of the Messenger of Hope book publishing will be made better and will be more effective. But then again, as mentioned, these will always require the commitment of top management as well as the support of the entire employees. And it will not end when it will be implemented, because part of the implementation is the ongoing continuous monitoring and review and updating as needed.